You are listening to Unscripted Moments, a podcast about propaganda. On this episode, my guest is David McWane from the band Big D and the Kids Table, and the song is, you guessed it, Ska Sucks. Big D and the Kids Table included a fantastic rendition of Ska Sucks on their 2019 covers album, Strictly Covered, which also features covers of work by Hepcat, Morphine, Operation Ivy, the Beastie Boys, and more. I really enjoy Big D's version because of their inclusion of a long passage of The Specials, A Message to You, Rudy, in the middle of the song. Ska Sucks is track 3 on Big D and the Kids Table's covers record, and in this episode, David McWane joins me fresh off a fall 2022 Big D tour to discuss his love of propaganda, Big D's years-long friendship with Sula and Hago, their cover of Ska Sucks, The Specials, and more. You can find Strictly Covered at Big D and the Kids Table official.bandcamp.com or wherever you check out music. So please enjoy my conversation with David McWane and Big D and the Kids Table performing their cover of Ska Sucks. David McWane, welcome to Unscripted Moments, a podcast about propaganda.
Well, thank you for having me. I think this is a really cool podcast because the band rules.
Absolutely. Well, David, why don't you go ahead and spend a moment and introduce yourself to the audience out there? Because I'm sure a lot of people know who you are, but I'm sure that there are some who are just, being introduced to you for the first time.
Yeah. Okay. So I started school in Boston around 1995, and literally the first group of kids I started talking to were then later Big D and the Kids Table.
Nice.
We were just musicians at a music school, Berkeley, and just kind of did that whole thing of I play drums. That was my principal instrument. And then, Mark would be like, oh, I could play guitar. And Steve was like bass. And we got together to just first strictly jam Operation Ivy songs. Just because, and I'd never met friends who would want to do that,
Mm-hmm.
So us three were really into it. And then slowly we started saying, well, why don't we start a band? And each member of the band literally was just another one of our friends. And the reason why we have horns was because when we would go jam, they wouldn't have anything to do. Do you know what I mean? So we just, it was just one of those like, why don't we all play together? Because, you just wanted to, we were addicted musicians. We had limited parties we were invited to, so we just played all the time, and we weren't like doing one of those, like, we're going to start a band and we're going to go tackle the world. Literally, it was just, hey, that's a cool riff. Hey, what about this? Yeah, like, it was just playing. Like as if we were in a sandbox or something. And then one day a band dropped off a Broke show. Broke is an old band. And somebody asked us to open the show, and we thought that was really funny because we didn't consider ourselves a real band. And then they said I had to sing rather than play drums because we didn't have a singer. And then 26 years later, Big D and the Kids Table.
Are you like a good drummer? Are you like a reading music, kind of like very trained, specifically a drummer?
I would say I'm a phenomenal drummer.
Nice.
But that's because I chose, and it's kind of like I can take this to singing later, but I chose just not to listen or mainline all the things that all the drummers were doing. Like all the drummers would listen to the same drummers, and I noticed they would generally play the same way and with fills and style. So I really just kind of like said, no, I'm not going to listen to Stuart Copeland. I'm not going to listen to all these things. Like you hear it, but I'm not going to study it. And I just studied other things like trip hop drummers, DJ Crush, The Diggable Planets, Portis. They try to make these try to put them on the kit, even though they're all synthetic sounds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, I'm that, and I'm also like a very behemoth drummer, like just really hitting them. And so, yeah, I love drums so much. They're a huge piece of me. And the band I played in was Drexel, and those guys are just awesome. And they've gone on to do other things. Aaron Sinclair, A. Sinclair, I think he goes by now. But yeah, they just told me to sing, and then it's just a fluke. It's just random.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, my first exposure to your band was, I believe, 2005. You were opening a Toasters tour, and I saw you play in Columbia, Missouri at a tiny little bar on the main street in Columbia, Missouri, right by the university campus. Yeah. And I went to this Toasters show, and you guys played, and I was like not as excited about the Toasters because I wanted to see like fast punk bands. So like the fact that you guys were the ones who opened up, like I was like, okay, this is awesome. So like you won me over right away. Like it was like 2005 was the first time I heard your band. It's like 10 years in, it took me a long time to get there.
Well, I remember that tour well because, the first time you really meet Bucket and the rest of the guys, it stands out, he taught me a lot of things like about like publishing and, like that tour, he's really good about taking you under his wing and going like, do you know all these things? And you're like, I don't. He's like, all right, well, hear me out real quick, So that was a big deal tour for us. Yeah.
Well, and that was a big deal for me too, because a bunch of my friends in high school were super into the Toasters, and I never really got it. And then I saw that show, so I was super pumped about you guys. So I was in an amazing mood because you guys crushed it. And then they came out, and I was like, oh, I really get it now. This is really special. So it was one of my most perfect college shows that stands out in my memory is Big D and the Toasters in Columbia, Missouri. So I'm delighted to be able to tell you that. So as a drummer, I would imagine that you may have some intriguing thoughts and ideas on George from Propagandhi then too, I would imagine, because he, to me, is kind of a special standout figure. And I feel like I'd be missing an opportunity if I didn't bring that up to you. Yeah,
I can almost go through almost everybody. But like you're saying, like we start with drums. So excuse me. So in high school, I listened to basically, metal and hardcore. You're from Boston. You're probably going to know a lot about Boston hardcore, New York hardcore. Yeah. And we also, you have to remember that the back in those days, the Mighty Mighty Bosstones would play with Slapshot. Like the ska scene and the hardcore scene in Boston were the same scene. And then I would listen to like early rap, because like I love the Curtis Blow and stuff like that. And so at that point, I already was a fast playing drummer because of Master of Puppets and early Metallica and what have you. But then it was interesting. Like, I didn't really know anything about the punk sound, like the Fat Wreck Chords sound.
Sure.
Okay? I mean, like nobody around me was doing that, or playing it at all. The only like introduction to ska and punk was Operation Ivy and the Boss Stones, and I think you could pretty much say that was pretty much it. You know what I mean? So by me liking those two bands, suddenly Aaron from Drexel that I was telling you about, he goes, check out Propagandhi. And I'm, as they put it, I'm not really a shepherd, as they say with music. Like, some friends are the shepherds, and they go, check out Propagandhi, check out this. I have kind of like a quiet taste. Like, I'll go and get things and listen to them, but I'm not like showcasing them to friends and stuff. So I was always like a follower or just someone that would, be told, so Aaron would be like, check out Propagandhi. And of course, right away, I was like, oh, there's this style of music that's still doing the fast kind of thrash metal that I like. But it's a different genre. And so that started going, oh my God, Propagandhi. And I mean, we played them just religiously.
Yeah, well, and interestingly, since you're coming from thrash metal, so does Propagandhi. Like, Chris and Jord are, notorious childhood metalheads, and so they were coming from exactly the scene that you're describing, and I think that really comes across a lot in the way that they performed in those early records, because they just sound a little different. You know what I mean? They're a little different than a lot of the other bands from that time period.
Well, I'll jump and say one of the big things that inspired me. So drum wise, yeah. I mean, I was like, let me, like, even in that song Ska Sucks, the way he starts the I mean, it's just so cool. And if you go and listen to early Drexel stuff, you can hear that I was like, hell yes, I'm gonna take that kind of oozy drums and go for it, kind of like a Wilhelm scream.
Oh,
we were kind of bands at the same time. And me and Nick were, we would have lots of conversations about the style that we're talking about, and we would kind of like watch each other get better. You know what I mean? Yeah,
when they were smacking Isaiah, I'd imagine too, right?
That's right. Yeah. And so definitely drums. But what was great about the guitars was, that really did, their guitar playing was something I put in my back pocket for some Big D writing, because I'm a huge fan of the double picking, like dun 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 dun. That stuff. I just love it. I think it's so cool. Yeah. And they do it so well. Yeah. And so, like you're saying, I can hear the thrash metal in them with that. But then even when they do like the volumes swells, like when you hit a chord with the volume off, then you bring the volume up. Yeah. I mean, I was like, my God, this is like Master of Puppets, but different. Like, so like everything they were doing was fresh for my ears, but also like the love was already deep rooted. And then, like when I went to write the song that LAX from Big D and the Kids Table, like you can, like, I can, with us talking, I was like, yeah, well, I think, it was the listening of Propagandhi at the time that helped shape that framework. You know what I mean? I never really thought about it, but even the double picking, like, my style of fast punk songs, when I write them on guitar, I think are coming from that time of loving their style. And I don't think you can go, oh, like NoFX and oh, like the Suicide Machines and you can go down the rabbit hole. I'm like, no. Specifically Propagandhi. You know what I mean? Like, they had I know people can think it's all the same, but it's not really all the same.
So as a person who appreciates heavy music, I feel like you maybe have some interesting thoughts on their progression as a band. Like, maybe I don't know, because a lot of people have been like, yeah, I only listened to the first two records and on the show. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But I'm wondering how your progression as a fan has gone with them, especially considering the fact that you come from other genres of music as your like home, kind of like home base interest.
Well, I do have to admit some bad things, and that's I was never the guy who like bought records either. Like, I was never the guy that could. The idea of this buying $20, that was just beyond me. Like, I was always the guy that would have everything on blank cassettes or blank CDRs. But like, so when my group of friends that would always play Propaganda when we all went in different directions, I didn't keep up on it. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And so I do know things, and I go, oh, is this a new Propaganda? And I like it, but I have to admit, but after this interview, of course, I'm going to go right back, because now you got me all jazzed back up about it.
Nice.
But one thing I'll say is that it was a huge deal that our good friend, early Big D friend Susu, started playing with them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes, Sue was in the band.
Huge deal for us. She was like our Florida best friend, person who came to our shows in Florida. And then when she got the job with them, we were like, what?
No way. Seriously?
To have a friend in Propaganda is ridiculous. You know?
This is amazing. This is an amazing little historical moment here that I didn't even know. That is so cool. So
yeah.
So you go way back with Sue Lynn then. Fantastic.
Way back. And one of the biggest things is that you don't get this all the time in life, is we always knew she was a badass.
Of course.
She was our badass Florida friend. And for other people to recognize it and her get a spot in like one of the best fucking bands, like, it was just so great. I mean, it was what it's made of, and you don't always get to see stuff like that, So,
amazing.
So, but it's also one of those things where it's weird how the scenes get. And even though Big D is in the punk and ska scene, we are so far from the Fat Wreck scene.
Right.
Like we don't know anybody. I mean, you know what I mean? Like I palled around with Bad Cop a couple times, but it's like, I think that's their Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? And I think, sometimes it's not others people, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Have you ever seen Propaganda live or crossed paths with them in any way?
No, no. And
they're elusive.
How so?
Well, yeah, in all those years, like the late 90s, like I'm from St. Louis. So from finding them in like 1996 until 2007, they were like my favorite band, but I never got to see them live because they had a tour scheduled around Today's Empires, Tomorrow's Ashes, and then 9/11 happened and they like left the country. So there's a lot of years on where they were not very active at all, which were formative years for so many of us, wanting desperately to see them live, but just not having the opportunity to do so. Yeah. So, you saying you've never seen them before is extremely common for people on this podcast. It happens all the time.
Yeah. I think, not to reiterate, but Millencolin and Propaganda, these were like huge, big deal bands for us, and, shaping and formative, like you said, but yeah, but then I never could see them or anything.
Right. You have to like live in a certain place.
Yeah. Yeah. It's confusing. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk about Big D and the Kids Table a little bit. So on this show, I love featuring artists and musicians and bands that cover Propaganda's music, and I'm always on the lookout for who is doing what. And I found Big D's cover of Ska Sucks. It's been ages ago. But I'm wondering, tell me a little bit about the lore of the song Ska Sucks in general. As somebody who's kind of in and around the ska scene yourself, I'm wondering if you can talk to me about like what this song means as far as like something that's like a part of the scene, and just kind of like what it means to you as just a piece of work itself.
Well, the song was not only a big deal song for me, but also like had me kind of like learn as far as like humor. I'm young. Humor and snarkiness, and kind of where I was at. So where I was at that time, like I said, I liked Operation Ivy and I liked the Boss Stones. And then when I like these bands that I'm about to say now, but I'm just saying at the time, little disclosure, at the time, Real Big Fish and Less Than Jake were crossing my paths, and no doubt, and I call it the color, the color bands. I was like, whoa, what's going on? And I'm just starting to get into the specials and like everything about being like cool, like you can't use the word cool because then it's not cool, but like just poise of these bands I really liked their poise. And then suddenly this new wave came in and it was the total opposite poise, right? So I loved that Propaganda was saying, you know, ska revival isn't cool, you stupid fuck. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was just very with him. You know what I mean? Like, I know. You know, I like the idea of ska always being a genre that's in the underground music scene, you know, and so I also, when I started singing, I really, really liked his voice, like his attitude, his lyrics, just the sound of it. I was like, oh, it was one of those, oh, I didn't know you could do this, because he's a one of a kind voice, you know, and his lyrics one of a kind, and so vocally I was very like, this is my guy, you know, like I could identify with him, because I don't, like, I'm a drummer. I'm not saying it's bad. I describe it like, I don't get mushrooms on my pizza, but that doesn't mean I'm against people who likes mushrooms on their pizza. But like, I don't like sing-songy bands too much. Like, you know, like I like Tom Petty, but like, I don't,
right.
That is just, it's not made for me. It's not, I don't gravitate to it at all. I'm like, ooh. And so he was different. He was just like, you know what? Fucking this and fucking that. He's like that mother who's got her teeth closed, but she's still fucking telling her kid to get off the fucking couch. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, so on board. And I do think who I am now, you know, it could have been a little different if I'd never had heard him. Do you know what I mean? I think a lot of my mold is the way it is because I had the opportunity to kind of just hear an original character.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you got the humor of it, because I think that's extremely important to the band themselves. And people see Propaganda as a very serious band. And of course they are. They have very, very, like, tons of serious topics throughout all of their records. And I've traced them on this podcast for 2.5 years at this point. But the humor that is like behind those guys in that band is so essential and like subversively hilarious. And I feel like Big D kind of like has a spirit like that as well. Like you mentioned the song LAX earlier, a hilarious song. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's something that kind of is important to you as well.
Well, I know what you mean. Like and I am not the one to describe someone else's humor. You know what I mean? But their humor is like right with ours as far as Boston humor. But it's different. It's like I can appreciate and wonder sometimes, like, where are they coming from with this? Yeah. But I do think it's got this general place setting near Boston humor. You know what I mean? Going like, you know, just razzing really deeply your friends. You know what I mean? Like look at this fucking guy kind of stuff. You know, like. So I do think it was their humor, like just to reiterate it, it's similar but different, and I think that's why I liked it. Yeah, I
love it. Well, one of the things you should do in your Propaganda rabbit hole that you're about to go down for the next couple of weeks or so is that you should find 1990s live recordings, especially from Gilman, where basically they just like yell at the crowd for like 3 or 4 minutes between every single song, because it's the funniest stuff you will ever find on the internet. The band finds it extremely cringeworthy because they're them, but like I find it to be extraordinarily funny, and I know that you will love it if you find the 95 live shows from Gilman. They're hilarious.
And somehow I know this, like I just can't quite remember, like I don't think I ever saw them live, like, but I know that their banter is like, you know, NoFX has their banter, but Propaganda is their banter.
Right. And they don't do their banter anymore, really. It's not like that these days. So if you go to a show, you're not going to see them behaving in the same way as they would 25 years ago. But it's very much worth going back and checking out. Sorry, Chris Hanna. I don't mean to tell people to go and dig into everything, but it's too good. Okay, so tell me a little bit about, so you guys do this cover. Tell me a little bit about the decision to make the song, how you landed on it, any recording stories that stand out to you about Big D and the Kids Table's rendition of Ska Sucks.
Well, the record itself, Strictly Covered, we like to do like an EP in between full lengths so that you can kind of close the book on whatever you were inspired by. And, you know, so that the next record doesn't sound too much like it. No fan might want them to. So for this EP, we decided to just do covers. And yes, each cover is kind of like an essential part of what made Big D or what is part of the members. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, these are the songs we love. These are the songs that represent making a cake. Like, these are the ingredients, so Strictly Covered is like the ingredients that makes Big D and the Kids Table, And
yeah.
so Propaganda had to be on it. And in that song, because of my attraction and, to the lyrics, to the humor, and then him just saying like, fuck all these bands. And at the time I was kind of like, yeah, fuck all these bands. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're messing up the way I look at this genre. You know what I mean? And so you have to understand, it was an absolute pleasure to do. And it's like putting on your hero's clothes. You're like, look at me. You know what I mean? And it sounded awesome. John Graber, the guy who recorded it, he did an outstanding job. And it was just an honor and a pleasure to be inside that song.
Yeah. Okay, well, there's a detail that I want to really latch into here for a second. So yesterday it was announced that Terry Hall from the Specials passed away, and Big D's cover of Propaganda Ska Sucks has a very faithful recreation of Message to You, Rudy within the song, which I think that today is extraordinarily timely to discuss. Tell me about the decision to, not do what Propaganda did and to do like the full Specials recreation within the middle of the song.
Yeah, I mean, it was almost like it didn't even have to be said, if you know what I mean. Like when we were doing it, I think it was one of those things where we all looked at each other and we're like, well, we're gonna play it longer, and we're gonna play it, like properly, if you will.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So we also thought that was a funny, and I can't describe how, addition to the humor, because we love the Specials. You know what I mean? I still can't even put my finger fully down on where they're coming fully with that song. And you know what I mean? I'm not them, but like, so we thought it'd be funny to actually make that part sound proper and like it would if it was, the Specials doing it.
Yeah.
And so we had it. And it's a great excuse to play that song without covering that song. Like every ska band kind of wants to play that song, you know what I mean? But does the world need every ska band to cover it? No. So it was a good excuse to kind of, take a little piece of the chocolate and eat it. You know what I mean?
I love that. That's such a cool little moment. And I just really wanted to emphasize the fact that, just this day after the announcement of Terry's passing, I mean, that being able to chat about that section of the song with you is actually really special for me right now. So I'm glad that we got to do that,
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so the song appears on Strictly Covered. Is that the first place that it appeared? Because I know it appears elsewhere as well. I think it's on the Fat Records documentary film compilation well, right?
Right, but I never got to see that or get a thing of it. Yeah, so we did that for them. And then it's sometimes with those projects, you're like, can I have a copy?
Gotcha.
But then we did change the lyrics at the end too, which was an additional fun thing.
That's the next question I was going to ask. Tell me a little bit about the revised lyrics, because I loved I only listened to Propaganda's old stuff revision. So tell me a little bit about the revision process for the lyrics.
Well, I just thought that because like the real home base of this song is it's funny and ironic, like it's a hilarious song. You know what I mean? That I thought one should add a joke to the joke. Do you know what I mean? Like that, and literally doing that because that's what Propaganda would do. Kind of it's like you're trying to be like, if they were me, they would do this, right? And then every band knows the most, like the thing you don't want to hear ever is I only listen to your old stuff. Like that's of course like nobody wants to hear that. So that's the number one thing I went for. Do you know what I mean? Because I play in a ska band. He says ska sucks. So, so I'm like, oh, okay, that's below the belt. Let me go below the belt with you. I only listen to your old stuff. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's an equal, like, and then, it's really funny making fun of Fat Records bands for a second. Fat Records bands go, ding, 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 bop, bop. I mean, we all know that they go like that. And so it's kind of funny to say it, in a song that's doing that. And Fat Mike has never fucking liked our stuff. I mean, that's just the truth. That's just true. You know, like you play in this genre and you got the kings, you know, the kings of the scene, you know, the kings and queens of the scene. And you're like, you hope that they give a shit a little. And, you know, I mean, Big D's always been an outcast in a genre of outcasts. So that's an honor, of course. But so that whole like ska sucks. I only own Propaganda's old stuff. Fat Records bands go jing jing beat it bop bop, and Fat Mike has never ever fucking liked our stuff. I mean, that's just a good time. That's just a good time of lyrics right there.
It's truly wonderful. And you know, I love the fact that you kind of describe yourselves as almost like outcasts, because I think the Propaganda sees themselves very similarly in the same way. Like for a long time, Chris's Twitter bio was the North Korea of punk. So I think that they kind of see themselves in a similar way. So I think in a way you two are almost kindred spirits in that regard.
Yeah, we should go on tour together. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you should talk to Sue Lin. Why not, you know?
I mean, that would be so cool. You know what I mean? Like, again, I always go back to, it's just so cool that she's in Propaganda.
Couldn't agree more. So, you know, you've got a bunch of other really great stuff too. I listened to the record this morning, and the Rancid cover of Old Friend, loved it. I love the Earthquake and Fire Hepcat cover. So there's some other fantastic stuff on this record that I think that everybody would really like. So if anybody listening out there hasn't heard the Big D Strictly Covered record, I mean, it's wonderful. And I was listening to it today and I loved it.
I because, you know, it's not our songs. I really like it too. And can you say that? And the brand new, the Beastie Boys cover, it's just sounds really great. Like I'm saying, like, I'm just wearing these people's clothes, you know, like it's almost like being, you know, like the first time you put on like either your metal jacket or like your punk jacket, and you're 14 or something, and you're like at home and you're looking in the mirror and you're like, yeah, man, I'm in, you know what I mean? It's kind of how I look at this record. I listen to it and I'm like, yeah, man, you know, like doing these songs, you know?
Yeah.
The Sam Black Church cover, like, it's awesome.
I know that feeling well. Like there's a live band here in Buffalo that does live band karaoke after shows. So I went and saw Anti-Flag here in Buffalo last weekend, and then there's the live covers, the live karaoke band afterwards features the first drummer from Every Time I Die in the band. So it's like a good band.
Yeah.
And I got up there and did Mother by Danzig and Damn It by Blink-182. And it's the kind of thing where the band is so good that the crowd gets into it. So there's basically like a mosh pit for live karaoke, and I just go as hard as I possibly can, as if like this is my band. And so I know that feeling of like wearing those clothes, because like when you see everybody bouncing in unison to the chorus of a Blink-182 song while you're on stage singing, there's no way not to get into that. You know what I mean?
I totally agree. It's
amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I was in Canada recently, and like an after the show, you know, happened, and one of the guys from I forget, but they were doing Operation Ivy songs of Creep Show. I knew it would just take me a second.
Yeah.
They're singing all the Operation Ivy songs. I posted up and just had a blast watching. I mean, you know, it wasn't Operation Ivy, but these guys are playing the whole record and, you know, just drinking it up, you know.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
What's next for Big D and the Kids Table? Kind of what is your 2023 sort of shaping up to look like?
Well, we just, the day before yesterday, got off tour with the Slackers, and we've never been on tour with the Slackers ever. And that was so fun. And just like little kids going to camp for the first time, we totally made friends, like with each other. Like we're total, who'd have thunk that we're totally in line with each other.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, they're New York and Boston. I mean, we should know that, you know what I mean? That people are generally kind of the same humor. And so that was a pleasure. And so now we're going to, you know, do Christmas and do New Year's, but Big D's actually had a little trouble getting on the road as much as we want to after the lockdown. You know, it's, you know, like a superhero just waiting for the red phone to ring. You know what I mean? We're like, we can't, like, we've gone out. We did a good run with Mustard Plug. I mean, we've done, but we wanted a little more. And so we're going to just keep trying to hack at getting back on the road. You know what I mean? It's because the touring industry, you know, definitely flipped its script after that lockdown. And so we hope to make 2023 and 2024 more than 2021 and 2022.
Wonderful. Well, David, I'm rooting for Big D forever and always. And next time you all roll through Buffalo, I'll hang out and I'll chat and, get to meet you in person, which will be great fun. It's always awesome to meet a fellow Propaganda fan. So thank you so much for, choosing this song to cover and to lean into it and to, really go into the specials part of that song. I thought that was such a cool feature of this cover that kind of stands out from other versions I've heard. So that's really cool. But it's really awesome that you were willing to do this with me and hang out and chat about how fantastic Propaganda is. It really means so much.
I appreciate it. And, it's an honor to even be in the same sentence as them. And before we even go, I know we're kind of wrapping it up. There's just one lyric I know I'm reversing, but when he does the, fuck Zionism, fuck this, fuck religion. I mean, how old was I? Like 17 when I heard that.
Right.
And, that's one of those moments where you're like, I'm different now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and the fact that he laid into it and kept saying it over, like, I just didn't know you could do the things that they did until I heard them. It didn't exist.
Oh, dude, that's not to me, that's not even the biggest example. For me, like growing up in the American Midwest, having the lyric on How to Clean Everything where he says, fuck the troops to hell. I'm like, whoa, like there are so many brave things that absolutely blew my mind that I still to this day can't believe how many lessons I gained from this band about like what is possible to have as a thinking human being. You know what I mean?
I think he was the first person that I really understood or could smell or taste. Oh, this is freedom of speech.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. Like bands like Body Count and stuff will say crazy shit, but they're just crazy, good.
Yeah.
Like crazy shit. But he was saying something with a meaning and would make you think. And that's what he did. Like, you turn the song off, but the song is with you almost always because you keep thinking about it. Like, where's he coming from? What exactly does he mean? He just did that. You know what I mean? And so, out of all the, and I'm not being silly, like the do that, all that kind of those. They are just the best one.
I know. Well, and like there's people I've heard Fat Mike say that like when Propaganda came along, they raised the bar on everything from music all the way through lyrics. He's like, they were the ones for him specifically that raised that bar so much, which is, such an important statement, one that I completely agree with. And I'm glad that you interjected and brought us back to that point, because it would be a shame if you were on the podcast and didn't have a chance to say like kind of what the band meant to you kind of like what they did for you, like as an idea about how to live in the world and how to think as a person who is committed to lifelong learning.
Yeah. Drums are obvious because we all loved those drums, but guitar playing and vocals, huge amount of influence in who I am now.
Excellent. I couldn't agree more. Well, David, thank you. It's a thrill.
Great fucking band.
I know they're the greatest. They're the greatest of all time to me. Which is why I obsessively make a podcast about them. Awesome. So, and now you're a part of the podcast journey as well. So I appreciate you being here and taking the time to do this for me.
Absolutely.
Message to you, Rowdy. A message to you, Rowdy. A message to you, Rowdy. A message to you. Fuck you, Rowdy!